If you've ever noticed that you keep telling yourself, I should be further ahead by now, but nothing really changes, you're not alone. It doesn't always look like a big problem. You show up, you think about your goals, you even imagine a better version of your life, but somehow you stay in the same place mentally, emotionally, sometimes even physically. And what's confusing is you're not lazy. You're aware. You're trying in your own way, but something feels stuck. And most people don't realize that feeling isn't random. It often shows up in small, almost invisible behaviors, like rereading a message before sending it 5, 6 times, not because it's unclear, but because you're trying to control how you're perceived, or wanting to speak up, but choosing silence at the last second, not because you have nothing to say, but because something in you says it's safer this way, or even staying in situations that don't really feel right anymore, but convincing yourself it's not that bad. On the surface, these look like minor habits, but underneath, they carry meaning, because behavior is rarely just behavior. It's usually protection in disguise. When you overthink something small, it's often not about the thing itself. It's about avoiding a feeling, the feeling of being misunderstood, the feeling of being judged, the feeling of getting it wrong. So instead of risking that, your mind slows everything down. It tries to calculate the perfect move. And that's not weakness. It's protection. But protection has a cost. Because while you're trying to avoid discomfort, you also delay movement. And over time, that delay starts to look like not progressing. The same thing happens with people pleasing. You say yes when you want to say no. You adjust yourself to fit into spaces. You read the room before you even enter it. It looks like kindness. And sometimes it is. But sometimes it's something deeper. It's the fear that being fully yourself might create distance. So you choose connection over authenticity. And again, that's not failure. That's adaptation. At some point, it probably kept you safe. It helped you belong. But now, it quietly shapes your decisions. And those decisions shape your direction. Avoiding confrontation works the same way. You tell yourself it's not worth the stress. You keep the peace. You move on. But what you're really avoiding isn't the conflict itself. It's the emotional exposure that comes with it. Being seen, being challenged, possibly being rejected. So you stay quiet. And every time you do, a part of your reality stays unexpressed. A boundary not set. A truth not spoken. And slowly, your life starts forming around what you didn't say. And here's where it gets interesting. The real reason you're not where you want to be isn't always about discipline or motivation or even opportunity. It's about identity. More specifically, the version of you that feels safe to be. Because every decision you make, even the small ones, passes through that version first. The version that learned, at some point, that being careful is better than being exposed. That being liked is safer than being real. That being quiet avoids consequences. So even when you want more, you move in ways that maintain that identity. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that a part of you doesn't feel safe doing it. And that changes everything. Because now, it's not a knowledge problem. It's not even a motivation problem. It's a self-perception pattern. You're not just acting. You're staying consistent with who you believe you are. That's why progress can feel so close, and still not happen. You think about changing. You imagine a different life. But when it comes to actually moving differently, something in you pulls back. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to keep things familiar, just enough to stay in the known version of yourself. And the known version feels safer than the unknown one, even if the unknown one is better, even if it's exactly where you want to be. So you stay in patterns that feel normal, even when they don't feel good. You repeat reactions that feel automatic, even when they hold you back. And over time, it creates a quiet gap between where you are and where you know you could be. But once you start seeing it like this, something shifts. You stop labeling yourself as unmotivated or behind, and you start recognizing the pattern. You see that your behavior isn't random. It's consistent, predictable, protective, and that awareness matters more than people think. Because you can't change what you don't see. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice the pause before you hold back, the moment before you shrink yourself, the instant you choose safety over expression. And even if nothing changes immediately, your relationship with your behavior does. And that's where everything starts to feel different. Not because your life suddenly transforms, but because you're no longer confused by your own patterns. You understand them, and that understanding quietly changes how you move. It was never random. It was never just bad habits or lack of discipline. It was a pattern built around who you learned it was safe to be. And if this explains something for you, there's more to uncover.